Hello and welcome to another Digital Samba release notes walkthrough. It's a really big release. I'm super excited to bring you this one. So today we'll be looking at Digital Samba 626. As you can see, it's available from 14th of November 2025. And this one is all about marking up content. We've been working on this one for quite some time, so let's get into it. You can basically mark up any type of content, maybe a PDF file or some kind of presentation or a word processing document that you might have uploaded into the session, and just draw on top of it, highlight things, point at things, and I'll show you that in just a second. But that's not all. We've also launched support for timed quizzes, also a big one for e-learning, for educators who want to run quizzes. Really, quizzes differentiate from polls in the sense that you can mark certain questions right and wrong, meaning that you can then afterwards do an evaluation and see which of your students passed or did not pass the test. And we've also looked at fully role-based Q&A permissions. So we'll get into that as well. There's a bunch of other stuff, and I won't be running through everything. The video would get too long, so let's look at the highlights today. So first, let's start off with drawing over content. And I'm going to jump straight into a Digital Samba session. I've got a Maine Coon cat over here, and it's really quite intuitive. So it's really quite simple. If you've opened a document and you want to draw over it, you can hover your mouse and you'll see a new drawing panel in the bottom right-hand side. Click on it to show the tools. By default, the laser pointer is selected. I'm going to pick the yellow color, and I can simply draw the attention of my users to a particular piece of the file that I'm trying to mark up. The laser pointer disappears again after just a couple of seconds. So it's really just a nice, neat way to draw attention to a certain thing without permanently marking up. The other tools, one of my favorites is the highlighter, actually allow you to directly draw on the content. So you can see I can make this cat's eyes even more yellow. I can highlight the mouth area, whatever it is that I really want to do over here. I can just, mark up to my heart's desire. It supports a subset of the features that we support in our full-featured whiteboard application. It's a different type of use case. So that's markup. Easy to use. Play around with it. Maybe just as an additional pointer, if you go into your content library and I open up a document that I prepared earlier, you will see that any of the markup that I created is already stored there. So markup stays with the file for as long as you want it. Of course, you can delete it. If you don't want to have it there, then you simply click clear all and delete that content. But if I page through this document, you'll see that things that I've drawn earlier are still there. So that's also great. If, for example, you're working with students, you've created some kind of a worksheet together, you want to get back to it later, the content that you created will still be there. So very handy. So enjoy marking up content. Next, let's have a look at the quizzing feature. We call it polls and quizzes, and you can see it's a really beautiful way to create quizzes directly within a session. I'll jump back into my demo session and we'll go into the polls area, and let's create a new quiz. So my first quiz, and let's just set this to 15 minutes and let's add some questions. So you don't have to watch all of this. Let me first set up this quiz for you and then we'll get back to it and run it. All right, so now I've set up this quiz. Let's create it, and it appears in my content library. And now let's start this quiz, but I'm going to split the screen in two so that we can look at it from the point of view of a teacher and the point of view of a student. All right, so I have my teacher on the right-hand side and my student on the left. So now let's launch the quiz and see what happens on the student side. So the teacher sees that the timer started, 15 minutes for the quiz. The student gets notification that a quiz was launched. So let's click Take Quiz, and I have to run through a couple of questions. So my favorite color is blue. My favorite taste is sour. My favorite calling application is obviously Digital Samba. And my favorite fruit, well, I like all of them. So now let's finish. I was way ahead of time, so that's good, obviously. And now let's see how we did. So the teacher can now, when they feel they're ready, end the quiz, and now we can check the quiz results. And as you can see, the student in this case has not got permission to see quiz results, but the teacher does. And now we can see that student got 3 or 4 questions correct. And if I click into them, you can see that the favorite color we were looking for was red. The student opted for blue. Taste he got correctly. Favorite calling application, most important one, he got correct. And favorite fruit was a multiple choice or multiple potential answers that were correct, and he got all of them correct. You have to get all correct in order to score the point. So that's quizzes for you. And of course, you can export all of this information in order to export it to your learning management system as well, which I can do simply by clicking here and then clicking download, or use the API if you have an integrated version of Digital Samba. Okay, and another thing I want to talk about, since this is one that came from our customers, is we added a whole bunch of new permissions around the Q&A module, and I'll jump into our dashboard to show you what that's all about. So you're going to roles, and let's pick one of the roles. It can be the attendee role, for example, and you'll find that around Q&A, there's now a whole bunch of new options. So you can decide whether the Q&A module should be available to that role at all, whether they're able to ask questions, whether they're able to answer questions, whether they're able to answer privately to questions, or whether they are supposed to be able to moderate the Q&A. And each of these has a bunch of intricacies, which I invite you to check out yourself. Just log into your Digital Samba account and read the descriptors. And if you need us, send us a support ticket via our website. In general, I hope you love this new release. It's a really, really important one. It's a feature-packed one. We've tried to make all of this as intuitive as possible for you. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video in 2 weeks. Bye for now.